Most leaders who struggle with remote teams aren't struggling because they're bad leaders. They're struggling because everything they learned about leadership was built around physical proximity. You could see your team, you could feel the energy in the room, you could walk over to someone's desk and know in 30 seconds whether a project was on track or about to fall apart. Remote work took all of that away, and a lot of leaders haven't fully reckoned with what needs to replace it. Hi, I'm Jeff, CRO and co-founder of ClearDesk. We build remote teams for businesses across the US. And the single most common reason a remote placement underperforms isn't the talent. It's the leadership framework around the talent. Today, I want to walk you through what actually changes when you lead remotely and what the best remote leaders do differently to build teams that are engaged, accountable, and genuinely high performing, no matter where they're logging in from. Let's start with the mindset shift because everything else builds on this. In a traditional office, proximity creates a false sense of control. You see people at their desks, you overhear conversations, you can tell when someone's stuck just by walking past them. That passive visibility feels like leadership, but a lot of the time it's just presence. And presence and performance are not the same thing. Remote work strips that away entirely. And what's left is the question every leader has to answer honestly. Do I actually have clear systems for setting expectations, measuring outcomes, and building trust? Or have I been relying on proximity to do that work for me? Successful leaders stop trying to replicate the office experience online and start designing specifically for a distributed environment. That's a fundamentally different task, and it starts with communication. The biggest operational failure in remote teams is communication that's unclear, inconsistent, or left to chance. In an office, a lot of alignment happens informally. A quick question in the hallway, a 3-minute conversation by the coffee machine, small moments that prevent larger misalignments. Remote work eliminates those moments entirely, and if you don't replace them intentionally, small misalignments compound into real problems. Strong leaders start by defining how their team communicates, not just what tools they use, but what each tool is for. Email for documentation, Slack for quick questions, video calls for nuanced conversations. When norms are explicit, the team does the work. The second piece is mastering asynchronous communication. When your team spans time zones, the assumption that everyone is available at the same time breaks down fast. Stop defaulting to meetings. Use recorded updates and written briefs. When done well, async communication doesn't slow things down. It speeds things up. No waiting for a scheduled call. And the third piece is active listening. Remote communication strips out nonverbal cues. You can't see body language as easily. The margin for misunderstanding is higher. The responsibility to confirm understanding falls on the leader. Rephrase, ask follow-up questions, create space. Leaders who skip this discover 3 weeks later that a project went the wrong way. Now let's talk about trust. When you can't see your team working, the instinct to monitor activity often takes over. More check-in messages, more status requests. That instinct is understandable, but it's one of the fastest ways to destroy a remote team's performance. It sends a clear message, I don't trust you without me watching. People stop bringing initiative. They stop solving problems independently. The autonomy and ownership that make remote teams powerful gets replaced by a permission-seeking dynamic. High-performing leaders shift from monitoring activity to measuring outcomes. They stop caring if you're online at 9 a.m. and start caring if the deliverable is done by Thursday. They stop tracking hours and start tracking results. But this requires one thing a lot of leaders skip: clarity. You cannot measure outcomes you haven't clearly defined. SMART goals aren't just a productivity framework. In a remote context, they're a trust-building tool. When success is defined, they can work independently without constant check-ins. Engagement is the other piece leaders underestimate. Culture doesn't build itself when you're distributed. In an office, culture is partly ambient, shared lunches and inside jokes. None of that exists remotely. If you want a team that feels connected, you have to build that culture intentionally. Research shows small, consistent moments matter more than large events. A question about the weekend, a Slack shout out, a shared win of the week. These take minutes, but communicate that you are seen, valued, and part of something bigger. Regular one-on-ones are the single highest leverage habit, not status updates. Those are async, right? One-on-ones are for the human layer. How is the person doing, and what do they need to grow? Leaders who hold these catch disengagement early build genuine trust and create the psychological safety that makes people willing to flag problems before they become crises. The last thing is work-life balance. In a remote environment, this is the leader's responsibility. Remote work blurs the line between on and off in ways office work never did. There's no commute to signal the end of the day. And when leaders are available around the clock, messaging at 10 p.m., they implicitly signal that the expectation is the same for everyone. Burnout in remote teams builds slowly and invisibly. Strong leaders set explicit norms around responsiveness. They model the boundaries they want their team to have. They check in on workload and sustainability the same way they check in on deliverables. A team running on empty doesn't produce great work for long, no matter how talented. Leading remotely isn't harder than leading in person, but it is different. The passive visibility of the office has to be replaced with intentional systems for trust, engagement, and culture. Leaders who make that transition stop trying to manage harder and start leading smarter. At ClearDesk, every remote team member we place is selected and trained with these dynamics in mind. We're looking for people who can do the job independently, communicate clearly, and integrate into a distributed team without friction. If you're building a remote team, book a call. The link is in the description. We'll walk you through what your specific operation needs. The transition to remote leadership is a one-time adjustment. The returns compound forever. Thanks for watching.